Hi, I'm Ariel Schwartz, and I'm going to share a little bit about the UNH for You and Bridges training programs that are run by the Institute on Disability at the University of New Hampshire. So I will just provide an overview of each of these trainings and programs and tell you about the key differences between them. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and contact me. So we'll talk about the differences between the two programs, UNH for You and Bridges, how to pay for both of those programs, and then we would have a Q&A if this were live, but you can just go ahead and email me. So there are some very key differences between these two programs. UNH for You is a 2-year on-campus program at the Durham campus at the University of New Hampshire. In contrast, the Bridges training series is virtual and can be taken from school or home or anywhere a student is. UNH for You is intended to be an immersive on-campus college experience where students take classes, engage in social life, and really become part of the campus community. And the purpose here is to support students in having academic and employment experiences that move them towards meaningful employment upon graduation. They also have the opportunity to be part of a new community. In contrast, the purpose of the Bridges training series is to help further prepare students for transition to adulthood and better clarify their goals. It consists of 4 online trainings addressing transition planning. So they have very different outcomes and goals and very different approaches. UNH for You is for students 18 to 25 with intellectual disability, whereas the Bridges training series is for students 18 to 24 who have an intellectual and/or developmental disability or a similar disability or set of disabilities. As I mentioned, UNH for You is 4 consecutive academic semesters or 2 years, whereas the Bridges training series is 4 5-week classes. So first we'll talk about UNH for You, our 2-year on-campus college program. UNH for You is driven by a person-centered plan where students work prior to coming to campus on clarifying their goals for employment, community of living, and having a high quality of life upon graduation. This drives decisions regarding individualized academic programming and the specific employment preparation and experiences that we provide to students. They also engage in campus life, including events, student organizations, and residential life. Sometimes campus life engagement is just for fun, and other times it's very specifically selected to meet students' goals. We anticipate that outcomes from the UNH for You program are competitive integrated employment in fulfilling meaningful careers based on students' interests. We also anticipate that they will have greater independent living skills and be more prepared to live in the places that they would like to live. We also believe that through this immersive experience and the supports that we provide them in taking on increased independence, they will have greater self-determination. They'll be more aware of their strengths, weaknesses, and ways to address goals. They'll be more adept at problem solving and be able to self-regulate and make new plans when their first approach to solving a problem or reaching an adult goal doesn't go as planned. A typical week at UNH for You includes weekday and weekend activities. In blue are the supports that our program directly provides. We do not provide weekend supports, and we do not provide 24-hour supports either. And so we can further discuss what it could look like if your students need greater supports than we provide. There are some ways to do that. Students attend classes about 4 a semester, 2 of them UNH for You specific seminars and supports, and 2 of them inclusive academic classes with their peers at UNH. They also have meetings with their academic coaches who serve as peer tutors, and advisory meetings with our inclusion facilitator who helps them navigate kind of their whole program, what they're doing in the week, kind of a check-in and overall plan for the week. They also will independently study and work. In terms of social engagement during the week, our students will meet with campus ambassadors who are UNH for You students, or who are UNH students who are not part of the UNH for You program. They'll engage in residential life activities, some campus activities, and hang out with friends. On the weekends, there's not a lot of structure for them. They will need to structure their own time, and of course, we support them in that. But typically on the weekends, students will study, work, hang out with friends, and engage in campus activities. We have many supports for our students. We have the inclusion facilitator, who is the person who is going to help the students really manage their whole program at UNH for You, help them kind of work through what they want to be doing with regards to academics, what clubs and organizations might they want to join, kind of coordinates and oversees and advises their time at UNH for You. They also will work with an employment specialist who will help them learn more about careers, their strengths and weaknesses, how they want to leverage those into a career, and some of the ways that we can increase employment skills. So they will work with that person very closely. They also will have supports from several peers. So these are UNH students. Their academic coach will serve as a tutor. Their campus ambassadors will be social supports. And they also will have access to a residential student assistant who is kind of like a RA specific for UNH for You students, who will check in with them on a daily basis. We also have really strong collaborations with student accessibility services, and they ensure that our students have the accommodations they need and that we have good communication with faculty. We also have really strong coordination with voc rehab, area agencies, and families, because we know that this is just a short time in a student's life, and we really want to make sure that there's continuity and carryover with services. We are really emphasizing employment for UNH for You students. In their first fall at UNH, they will primarily be engaged in career exploration. Then in the spring, we'll be working towards on-campus employment. In this first year, we're just hoping that students will get experience with having a job. And then the second year, we are much more focused on having a job that is very specifically targeted to their interest. In the fall, we hope that they will have an on-campus position or internship really aligned with their career goal. And then in that last semester, the goal is that they'll have off-campus employment or an internship to help them transition to something after UNH for You. UNH for You is best for young adults who have identified a career goal or area of interest. The time at UNH for You goes by really quickly, and we really want to make sure that students come in knowing what they want to do, and that's the way that they'll be able to most take advantage of the opportunity. They'll be able to take classes that are aligned with their goals instead of taking a smattering of classes to clarify their goals. We also find that students who are motivated to engage in academics and work do best at UNH. That is the same as any student with or without a disability. And so thinking about college isn't the right fit for everyone. So if you're thinking about UNH for You, the question should kind of be, would college be a right fit in terms of academic interest and motivations? Students who are interested in immersive academic and social experience will also benefit from this program and get the most out of it. We do not provide 24/7 supports, so we do find that students who can manage their daily routines with minimal support, so getting up in the morning, making sure that their living space is clean, making sure that they eat an appropriate amount and have healthy meals, those students do the best at UNH for You. However, there are ways that families can hire employees through their budgets to make some of these things work. So please talk with us further if that is something you think your student might need. Students receive a range of credentials and outcomes. They're registered as continuing education students at UNH, and therefore they receive a transcript. They take courses as audit pass or audit fail, but they will receive a UNH transcript indicating those courses and those grades. They also receive 5 digital badges or micro-credentials if they successfully complete the 2-year program and meet all of the standards set forth. These micro-credentials are more commonly used by employers, and they're increasingly seen in higher education. They're considered representative of 21st century skills, and individuals can put them on their resumes, and employers can link to learn more about them. We know that this kind of digital badge thing is something a little bit new and emergent, so we support students at the end of the program to understand what each credential means and make a plan for how they want to talk about each one of these 5 digital badges with prospective employers. Students who live on campus have a much higher cost than students who commute. Families are responsible for housing, meal plan, and student fees, which total about $15,000 a year for students who are living on campus. However, commuter students only have to pay for parking fees, and then they have an optional meal plan. Students and families are also responsible for purchasing textbooks. We encourage you to explore scholarship opportunities that your student might be eligible for. The link at the bottom is for a page at Think College. So you could go to Think College and find these scholarship opportunities. Our applications are due in late January, but we are likely to extend that to mid-February. Then students will have interviews in March or April, and then we'll have a decision in mid-April, and we'll start working with students over the summer through just a few meetings online to talk through what they would like to be doing when they're at UNH and select their courses and begin to get to know them. Now we'll transition to talking about the Bridges Training Series. This is our online transition training series. This is appropriate for students who are still clarifying their transition goals. The Bridges Training Series is 5 weeks. There are 2 classes per week, and they're about an hour and a half long. The 4 courses are Tools and Tech for Academic Success, Setting and Realizing Goals Using Person-Centered Planning, Healthy and Social Aspects of Life, Next Steps in Person-Centered Planning, and then within that, students decide if they would like to do the college and training track or the career and employment track. And students make that decision after they've taken the first 3 courses. The Bridges Training Series is small group learning. There's typically 6 to 10 students online. They take Zoom classes on Zoom, and they use a combination of learning modalities, some instructor presentation, a lot of active learning and discussion, and students are taught how to use some additional technology that they may be unfamiliar with to complete class activities. We really do emphasize the technology quite a bit to support students to transition into workplace or a post-secondary environment where technology will be really important. And homework is assigned and graded for every class in the Bridges Training Series. Students can receive a micro-credential at the completion of each Bridges course. Similar to UNH for You, these are these digital badges that can be put on a resume, and students can talk to employers about what they learned in each one of those classes. If they complete all 4 classes, they receive a master badge for completion. Students who are still figuring out their career goals and plans may benefit most from the Bridges Training Series. This is a series that's introducing them to thinking about setting goals and working towards them. This also may be appropriate for students who would like to pursue post-secondary education, but don't feel quite ready. Right now, we have a rolling admissions process. Applications are due February 2nd for the spring cohort, and we're having rolling interviews. We will make decisions prior to February 8th about enrollment for the spring cohort. Each training costs $595, and we are going to be offering Bridges in the fall in addition to the spring, and applications will open in the summer of 2024 for that fall cohort. So now, important questions about paying for UNH for You and Bridges. Vocational rehabilitation in New Hampshire, and perhaps in other states as well, we have just yet to partner with them, has been very generous about paying for these programs. These programs are seen as meeting important goals that students have regarding their employment plans. And if you're set up with vocational rehabilitation, you should talk with them about how these programs can support students in meeting their employment goals. Bridges often is paid for by vocational rehabilitation, school systems, and families. UNH for You is partially paid for by vocational rehabilitation for most students, but they're only able to cover tuition and academic coaches only. So families might want to be looking into scholarships or other sources to pay for housing, parking, books, fees, and the meal plan. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to answer your email at any point, and we're also happy to have a phone call with you. So thank you for taking the time to learn about our programs, and we look forward to conversing with you.